This gentleman, all his gurus are the earth, air, sky, fire, water. It's very interesting. So, now he goes through these 24 gurus and he explains what he learned from each one. But because that's a significant amount, I might just jump forward to a couple that apply to letting go. The first is the earth. A sober person, even when harassed by other living beings, should understand that his aggressors are acting helplessly under the control of God, and thus he should never be distracted from progress on his own path. This rule I have learned from the earth. So, has it ever happened to any one of us that we have ever been insulted, criticized, yelled at, bullied, lied to, cheated, betrayed, anything? Might have happened like once or twice. So, or even some unknowing thing, like when you have a baby and the baby cries all night, and you start like losing your mind. That happened to me one night. You start, I don't know, getting a little disjointed in the brain. How did it come to this? How much does the nanny cost?
What will really happen if I throw him out the window? And everyone thinks that you wouldn't believe it.
So, thoughts like that. So when harassed, when we experience some sort of negative thing from some other living entity, do we take it, they are now my enemy, I will throw them out the window, or whatever, or punch them, or whatever? Or do we see it that actually everything that is happening to me in a phenomenal sense is happening due to my own karma? Superficially, it appears that it's coming through this person or this event or that event. But that is a superficial understanding, according to the Veda. Actually, the universe is just, and the universe is fair, and the universe is even merciful. And we are simply receiving the good and bad, the so-called good and bad results of our past activities through all these human beings around us or others around us. So this is the vision of this Brahmin. And he says he learned this from the earth. And we can see like deep drilling, or all sorts of excavation, or all the sort of things that human beings do to the earth, or burning down all the rainforests and all that kind of stuff. And yet the earth continues on in her own way without being distracted. For example, you may have good things in your life. Maybe you do yoga, maybe you eat really healthy, maybe you have nice relationships. Then somebody comes along and you experience some negative reaction through them. They yell at you, they abuse you, they mistreat you, you did a lot of kindnesses to them, and then they cheat you or they do something back. And instead of then continuing on our path and loving ourselves and loving those around us, continuing with our good behavior, somehow or other that negative impulse causes us to then do further self-destructive things. Oh, I can't take this, so I'm going to go and eat 15 chocolate cakes or get drunk or watch TV all night, or I'm going to go and yell at somebody else. I'm going to go home and yell at my wife or my husband, or you know what I mean? Does that ever happen? Yeah. But if we can raise our consciousness to right at the time when that person does that to us, we don't see them as the ultimate cause of that good or bad thing. We see that the universe is just reciprocating with me, and that this is for my betterment. This is to help me learn. And my experience is, if you actually put that down into your heart, what am I supposed to learn from this? How am I supposed to react here? It is almost always a positive thing and a very liberating thing. It allows you to let it go. It allows you to just be free of it. And not only that, it has the nice added bonus that people seeing that in you, that you don't then take revenge on them or hate them or anything, they also tend to, after they recover from whatever it is they're doing, maybe they're angry at that moment or something, they tend to come back to you and say, hey, thank you for being so kind when I shouldn't have yelled at you like that, I shouldn't have done like that, and you responded so nicely. And it tends to create much better relationships. That thing where you get stressed out at work and then you go home to the wife or husband or kids and annoy them or harass them or yell at them or do something, it's just not a good policy for life. I love these people, somebody else hurts me, I'm going to hurt those people that I love. Very logical. But it happens all the time. And I've done it probably, a lot. But still, we can learn. We can learn from the earth, and we can learn from this Brahmana who was speaking all those years ago. So, this one isn't about letting go, but I'm going to read it anyway because I always liked it. A saintly person should learn from the mountain, like these mountains, to devote all his efforts to the service of others and to make the welfare of others the sole reason of his existence. Similarly, as the disciple of the tree, we should learn to dedicate ourselves to others. So there's this old sort of story in the Vedas. The tree is there, it gives fruit, it gives flowers, and even at the very end, if you go and chop it down and use it to keep yourself warm, the tree will not protest. And in that sense, although we might not want to do that, we can perceive that, wow, if I could be like that, if I could just always be giving, which is the highest happiness, and even when it creates a great sacrifice in me, that I could be so free, so happy within myself, that I could even do something like that. There's even one, I can't remember his name, one great sage who he was asked for his body in charity. In other words, can I take your body and you die, and I take your body for some use in some sacrificial arrangement? He was asked, that's like a hard, has anybody ever gone on the street and asked for donations? I've done that for a long time. Asking somebody, could I have your body? It's for a good cause. That's a tough one, but Indra did that, and that sage said, yeah, and then it said that he didn't even notice when his body was removed. He was so fixed on the spiritual platform and so happy within himself that even his body was removed. It said, just like when you're really happy, maybe you're dancing around and that hat falls off and you don't even notice, like a piece of clothing falls off you while you're dancing and having a great time, and you're so happy and blissed out and distracted, you don't even notice that a piece of your clothing fell off. Exactly like that, he didn't even notice that his body was removed. And finally, it's the last one, the last two, the wind and the sky. The wind in the Vedas is, Vayu means like, the oxygen, the nitrogen, you feel it blowing on your face, that whole thing. The sky is the sort of spatial element. It's sort of the containing element that contains everything else. A little bit different from our English. It's that old earth, water, fire, air, ether kind of thing, like they have in the old cultures. Solid matter, liquid matter, radiant matter, gaseous matter, and spatial matter. Even a transcendentalist is surrounded by innumerable material objects which possess good and bad qualities. However, one who has transcended material good and evil should not become entangled even when in contact with material objects. Rather, he should act like the wind. Although a self-realized soul may live in various material bodies while in this world, experiencing their various qualities and functions, he is never entangled, just as the wind, which carries various aromas, does not actually mix with them. A thoughtful sage, even while living within a material body, should understand himself to be pure spirit soul. Similarly, one should see that the spirit soul enters within all forms of life, both moving and non-moving, and that the individual souls are thus all-pervading. The sage should further observe that the Supreme Person, as the Supersoul, is simultaneously present within all things. Both the individual soul and the Supersoul can be understood by comparing them to the nature of the sky. Although the sky extends everywhere and everything rests within the sky does not mix with anything. nor can it be divided by anything. And the very last verses, last two verses. Although the mighty wind blows clouds and storms across the sky is never implicated or affected by these activities. Similarly, the spirit soul is not actually changed or affected by contact with the material nature. Although the living entity enters within a body made of earth, water, and fire, and although he is impelled by the three modes of material nature created by eternal time, his eternal spiritual nature is never actually affected. O King, a saintly person is just like water, because he is free from all contamination, gentle by nature, and by speaking creates a beautiful vibration, like that of flowing water. Just by seeing, touching, or hearing such a saintly person, the living entity is purified, just as one is cleansed by contact with pure water. Thus a saintly person, just like a holy place, purifies all those who contact him, because he always chants the glories of the Lord. Alright, so that's a little insight into a conversation between a king and a great sage, maybe 6,000 or 7,000 years ago, something like that. I hope it was a little bit interesting.